Read it for me. That dude 595. Parents of Reddit, what is the most effed up secret you are hiding from your children? Extraordinary love? That she can't have a relationship with her grandfather because he's a pedophile and I would never trust him. The rest of my family maintains a relationship with him and leans on me hard to open up communication because family comes first. They are absolutely right. My family does come first, which is why my daughter won't ever have to have a relationship with him. You are doing the right thing. I only found out a couple years ago that my grandfather was a pedophile and molested most of my aunts and maybe uncles. That also explained why 90% of my uncles and aunts have been raging alcoholics for their entire lives. He wasn't really my grandfather. He took care of my grandmother when her husband left her and their 6 children. To me, he was my grandfather and he was my godfather. I just don't understand why my otherwise perfectly fine parents had to stay over at my grandmother's place when he was always around. Nothing ever happened as far as I remember, but I just don't understand why you would take that risk as a parent, no matter how small that risk might be. I have a daughter of my own now, and if that effer would be alive today, I would not let him anywhere near her. Oh yeah, he was a priest when he took my grandmother in, but had to leave the church a few years later. I wonder why. That dude effed his way out of a church career and into a pedophile buffet right next door? That slimy, no good, racist son of a bum. Correct. You're the best parent ever for doing this. I do the same thing. No one deserves anything from you, and you're protecting your child, more importantly. No offense, but the rest of your family doesn't know anything about what family really is. Families certainly aren't people that would knowingly put your child at risk of being molested because it was easier for them. You are a good parent. My maternal grandfather molested my mom when she was 12. My grandmother resented my mom and blamed her for it, calling her a homewrecker and a whore. My mom insisted the reason why he went to jail was a mix-up, that it never happened. I believed her growing up. We went to their house often and everyone acted as if it was no big deal. My mom finally told me the truth after she attempted suicide a few years ago. I refuse to have a relationship with either of her parents, especially now that I have children. She can't understand why. I know she has some mental things to work on for herself, but I will not put my kids in that danger just to make her feel better. I can't. I wish she would cut ties and get the help that she needs. Absolutely stick to your guns on this. My mother was in the same boat. Her bro was a pedophile. She didn't know it until I was an infant, at which point she cut off all contact with him. She got a lot of flack from her family about it. To her and to me, it's a no-brainer. Of course you protect your child. It's so stupid when families just let stuff slide like that slide. I don't care who you are, even if you were my best friend. If I found out you were a pedophile, you're a piece of scum in my eyes, and that would never change. My wife's grandparents, dad's adoptive, are like this. At first, I was like, man, you should be a little nicer. They're family. 6 months in, I was like, yeah, F that. We don't need to speak to them. You're right. F'd up. Thing is that her dad's the only one that talks to them, and still he took the brunt of the abuse growing up. I don't know about sexually, but definitely in other ways. Makes me sad because her dad's a good dude and wants to have his parents involved in stuff, but they never effing be around our kids. Sorry for the F-bombs. The topic gets me heated. You're 100% right. The rest of your family are being straight up ignorant and have no business trying to pull that garbage on you. Thank you for protecting your child. I wish my mother had done the same for me. Thank you for being such a strong mama. I'm not sure your family knows the meaning of family coming first. Do not yield on this. You're making the right decision, maybe later in life, but not until you're 100% sure it's safe. As someone who was made the victim as a kid because of people not taking concern about that sort of thing seriously, thank you. Protecting your children when it is easy is great, but not difficult. Protecting your children when it's hard is what makes an amazing parent. My mom kept it a secret that the woman I was named after, her mom, my grandma, was stabbed to death by my uncle when my mom was 18. I always suspected my grandma had a tragic death because how my mom would avoid talking about it, but I didn't know it was that tragic. It wasn't a secret, but I was also named after a murdered family member. In 1978, 5 years before I was born, my dad's cousin was stabbed to death in her apartment in Santa Clara at 28 years old. The story I was always told when I was younger was that her boyfriend at the time was somehow connected to drugs and that she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I believe her boyfriend was tried and acquitted for lack of evidence. My mom recently told me a detail that I've never heard before, that the Mexican mob may have been involved and that it may have been a retribution murder for something her boyfriend or people close to him have done. I asked my dad about it after, but he had no recollection of that detail. However, he was also really, I don't know that word, to talk about it at all when I brought it up. They were really close and her murder really messed up the family for a while. I thought about it trying to look into details of what happened to her independently without my parents' help, but I'm not sure where to start. Family comes first. There it is!